Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Dana Schmidt-Johnson. I'm the community manager and house astrologer for the Writual Society. Today, we are going to be talking about multi-layered card readings. This brings your readings into such a deeper place of knowing and revelation just by taking a look at multiple layers of your questions. And to tell us more about multi-layered readings and how to incorporate them into our own practices is Kiala Givehand, life alchemist, poet, bookbinder, leader of the Pulpen Paint online series, Double Capricorn, and multi-passionate seeker of truth. Oh, we're so excited to have her here to guide us through these multi-layer readings. Welcome, Kiala.
Hello, Dana. Thank you so much. I am honored to be here to talk to you all, to be a part of this conversation. I love the work that y'all are doing over at Writual Society. So thank you for having me.
Oh, we are so thrilled to have you. And tell us, first of all, we got to dive into like the definition because there are many. What is a multi-layered reading? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because there's if you go Google it, you're probably going to see a ton of things that come up because I think everybody has their own way of defining it. There may be somebody out there who is the definitive definition for multi-layered readings. I don't know who that is. So let's just go ahead and name right out of the gate. This is my way of working with multi-layers in my spreads and in my readings. And like all really good things in divination, I think it's born out of my own personal practice, my own personal journey of deepening my understanding of all the esoteric things. I say all, that might lead people to believe I do all the things, but a lot of the things, I should be clear, a lot of the things that I love about the esoteric world, I layer onto my readings because these systems, I like to call them intuitive guidance systems, tarot, astrology, human design, numerology, the list goes on and on. Tarot, I think I didn't say that, but if I didn't, there it is. Sacred geometry, like I could go on and on, right? These systems are all connected to each other. And what we in modern times are getting, we are getting where someone has taken the numerology and said, I just want to focus on that. And so then we see that and we think it's its own separate thing, not realizing that it actually is very much connected to all the other things, right? And that can be true and said of a lot of the different systems out there. So for me, this is born out of my own practice. I started one way, just like we all do. I started at that beginner spot of going, oh my God, I'm pulling a card. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do with this one card, right? And then I evolved my practice. The more I did it, the more I learned, the more I studied. That's how what I'm going to be sharing has evolved over time. So again, definitely what I'm going to be sharing is my personal practice and the way that I do it. And I think that that's worth repeating over and over again, because I'm going to invite people into my sort of, just my room over my shoulder, the way that I work with my spreads. And I'm also going to say over and over again, pick the things that work for you, leave the rest behind. Because you may not be at a place where you're ready to go 7 layers deep into the spread, right? Maybe you're like, 1 layer is good enough for me. I'm good with that, So I hope that answers it. But I don't really have a definitive, like, here's the definition of a multi-layer. I think what I would say is it's inherent in the name, multi-layer, right? Like you're going to add multiple layers, and there are lots of ways to do that. So,
yeah, that makes sense. Going into it, I mean, once you do Google it, it's like, okay, so the multi-layers could be, here's a 3-card spread, and then we're going to do another 3-card spread, which is not the way you do it. Or it's like, okay, here's the layers within one card itself, just looking in deeper and deeper into those layers. So I am so curious what the method you've developed is and how long you've been kind of doing it this way.
Yeah. So, I love that you said the method that I have developed. I've never actually thought of it that way. But I think in the Pulpen Paint community, folks would say that they're always like, when they know I'm the person up to provide the spread, they're always like, oh God, all right, everybody, you got your diving gear on, you got your scuba gear. She's going to take us deep. She's going to take us there. So I think I would say The way I do it now, I probably have been doing for the last 3 to 4 years. Multi-layers, I think I've probably been doing for the last 8 years, give or take. But I feel like I've refined it to a point where, I don't know, it feels good and right for me. I don't feel, you know how you have a practice and you do something over and over again, and every now and then you feel like you need to change it up, kind of like, the furniture in your room where you're like, I've been coming in here every day and it looks all right, but I think I could change something up. So I think I've gotten it to a place where I enter into it and I don't feel like I need to shift or change anything. And so I don't know how long that will last. We learn and grow, and so I may, but I think this way that I've been doing it offers me so much more richness in my practice. So did I answer both the question there?
Yeah, definitely. And I
Okay.
think that's a really good point, that no matter how long you've been doing something, there's still room for growth. There's still room for refinement. There's still room for just change and just being like, you know what, that worked for me then. Something else needs to work for me now. And I'm going to switch some things up. And for the phase of life that you're in, or anything that happens, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Very cool. So what do you love about practicing this way? What does it really do for you?
Yeah. So here, this might answer that question. This came about for me because I love pulling the card of the day. Like, here's my card for the day. What do I need to bring my awareness to today? And so I would pull the card, and then I would just kind of have a little card stand, and I would have my, card out. And time to time, throughout the day, I'd look at it and I go, oh, right. Yeah. Okay. I'm working with the moon card today, and that's the energy. And okay, what do and I would have this relationship with that card for the day. When I was doing spreads, what I noticed is I would do the spread. I'd take all my little notes in my journal. I would sit with it for maybe a few minutes or so. Sometimes I might sit with it for 30 minutes. But what I realized is, and I always take pictures of my spreads, by the way. I'm a documenter, so I like to document my spread, because I'm just like, I can't always leave the spreads out. If I did, I'd have like a spread from this and a spread from that. And I mean, my whole situation over here would be spreads everywhere. So I document them so that I can put my cards back in my deck and clear my space. And then from time to time, I found myself like zooming in on the image and going, oh, I didn't realize that's my sun sign card that showed up in the spread. Oh, there's a layer there I need to explore. Like, what is it saying to me about how I shine my light in the world, right? Like, what's it saying to me about my soul essence here, right? So I would notice these little things. And so over time, I just started making notes, and not just about what I saw, but what I experienced in my day, in my week, in the month. And so I think that the way I work with it is, it's about noticing. It's about noticing what is there instantly, that sort of intuitive, I see what's there. And then looking at the story, I like to work with cards that can tell the story, like the storytelling style, that have people or beings in them. I love a good abstract deck, don't get me wrong, but I think it's a little bit harder for me as a storyteller, poet, person who loves to work with the narrative of something. It's easier for me to work with cards that have, people or animals or, beings on them. So over time, I just realized that I'm not a one and done spread kind of person. I'm not like, oh, I did the spread, I made my notes, I never need to look back at that again. I am a revisit the spread kind of person. I am like, if I did a month ahead spread, I'm looking at that thing multiple times in the month. I'm not just pulling it at the beginning of the month and then never coming back and looking at it, because I do believe that the cards provide guidance for us. And so if I want to get that guidance, sometimes you got to go back and ask for more information. You got to go, okay, right. I'm supposed to be working on, truth and dealing a lot with my own obsessions this month. Okay, got it. Then I need to come back to that spread and go, what's my support energy here? What is supporting this, right? So I feel like there's a lot of ways to be, and for me, the multi-layered process is really just me being in conversation with my spreads. being in conversations with the cards over and over again. I kind of think of it as, and this is not this, I'm going to put it in this term, and I just want to preface before I do, because this is the best analogy I can give, but I also want to say this is not to diminish therapy or anything in that way. So hear me clearly when I say that, y'all. But I think of it as, if I were going to therapy and my therapist gives me a task or an assignment or something they want me to focus on, think about, journal about, the next time I come back to the therapist, if they don't mention it, if they don't ask me anything, if there's no other dialogue around it, I'm a little baffled. I'm like, can we talk about this? Can we talk about the thing you told me to look at last week? Can we, right? And I feel like I come to the cards for that kind of guidance of like, what is my next right step? If I look at the cards and I see something that I think is the next right step, and I take that step and it feels good or right, or then I come back to the cards and I look and I go, oh, I see what's there, right? Now, I need to also preface, I do not use tarot for prediction. I know there are a lot of people who do, and I love that line of work. That's not how I use it. I do use it for possible scenarios and outcomes, right? What could happen if I took this next step, but not predicting what will happen. So I need to name that for people. But the process for me is a dialogue. I keep coming back. I keep asking the questions. And sometimes, and some of you right now are going to cringe when I say this, sometimes I will sit with a spread for an hour and be in dialogue with it. But I do that, I call it front loading. I do that because if I've sat with this spread and I've gotten all my journaling and I've asked all the questions I need for clarification, and I've really sat with this spread and information I think it's sharing with me, and I've given it that amount of time, attention, and conversation, I feel like I don't have to come back to it as many times, maybe just a glance here or there for memory's sake, for the sake of like looking at the position of the person in the card, right? So for instance, if I want to look at the position of the person in the card for embodiment practice, then I'm like, okay, looking at the pentacles, looking at the resources, not a card where there is no, where I'm looking away from my resources and my pentacles, right? Like, so I think that for me, there is a need to come back and touch it. So I've said a lot of words there, so I'm going to pause and take a sip.
It feels like almost like a scientific method of your practice, right? Like the diving in, the re-questioning, the journaling, and the observation, and the continual like conversation that you're having, right? I don't think any scientist that is doing an experiment is putting it out there, but then like continuing to like have further questions, well, this sparked that, and how do I look at it a little bit differently? What does that mean now? So I really like the idea of communing then with your cards.
Yes, I like that phrasing, communing with the cards. Absolutely. It's like going to a committee and asking for assistance and help, and every person on the committee has a little something they want to say to you and tell you. But you're only listening to one person, or you're not paying, right? Like, to me, I do think of it in that way. So yeah.
And you've given us a lot of examples of like the benefits of this, right? And going deeper and getting more insight as time goes on.
Yeah.
Is there a time when it might not be a good idea to go into a multi-layered reading?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when you want quick hits, quick insights, quick advice or guidance, or just a quick, question for the day, you don't necessarily have to do all the layers. And so let me say this too. The way I do the layers is I pull my spread, I interact with it first, then I go, okay, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples what I mean when I say I look at layers. So let's say I've got 5 cards in front of me. All right. I first look at the number of majors I have versus the number of minors. All right. I look at the majors as the big overarching energy of the spread. And then I look at the minors as this is my to-do list. Right. So if I've got a 5-card spread and 4 of the 5 are minors, I got work to do this is like a to-do list for me, right? And then if I've got the one major, I'm looking at, oh, this is the big overarching energy for the tasks that I need to do. This is the energy that I may have to embody, call on for support, whatever it might be, to make these to-dos happen. Now, again, that's my way of seeing the majors and the minors, which I'm pretty sure I've learned from Rachel Pollack or Mary Kay Greer or Angela Ahrens. Someone out there has taught that as like, here's what the majors represent and here's what the minors. And so I've just decided I agree with that, and I'm going to work with it that way, right? The other thing I do, another layer that I add, is I look at the number. I add up the number of all the cards in the spread. So if I've got 5 cards, I add up the number of all the cards so that I can then get an overarching energy for my spread in general, right? So I might add up all of those cards, and maybe they come up to number 7 for the Chariot. And then I go, okay, so we're talking about taking some action here. Okay, this is real. Then I've got 4 cards telling me to take action, right? So I'm looking at, so those are 2 layers. I've got the overall energy of the spread. I've got my, what I consider to be my to-do list and my overarching energy for those cards. Another thing I might do is start to bring in my astrology into it, right? I might, I do look at, I'm going to step back one from the astrology and say, I also look at another layer is looking at the suits. How many wands did you have come up? Is this about some creative action you need to take, or did you mostly have cups? And now we're talking about working with relationships, matters of the heart, your emotional wellness, right? So I'm looking at how the cards are in relationship with each other, right? Which would be another layer, the directionality. What direction are these folks looking at each other, right? So if I've got these 2 cards, right, I would be going, okay, one's looking at down and one's kind of looking towards the other one. I might, if it were these 2, and like you got one that's riding away from the other one, right? So I look at that too, and I give that meaning as well. So I could go on and on and on and on. There's a lot of different ways that I look at layers. And then when I build a spread, I embed layers into the building of my spread, but that's a whole other conversation. So I won't go there right now.
Yeah, we'll have to get into that. That is a whole other conversation for another time, for sure. I do love the divine timing that is occurring here, because for the quarter that's coming up, we are going to be having an intuitive tarot discussion in April, and then we're bringing you in June to talk about the multi-layered reading. So like truly the divine timing of that, of getting into, okay, here's the intuition, and now let's go deeper. Let's dive into what these layers can represent. And I love how you're pulling in all these different disciplines, right, that you've collected over time. Absolutely. As we all do, right? We start to get into something, and then it's like, oh, how can I pull this into my spreads every morning? Because you've got numerology, you've got astrology, you've got obviously tarot, and all the things, right? Really pretty incredible how you can pull both of those in. I'm curious, are these types of readings, and I think the answer is yes, but you tell me, is it appropriate for both using tarot and oracle, or do you primarily stick to one?
Yeah, I think that for some of the layers, it's only going to be tarot. For instance, most oracle decks won't have majors and minors for you to look at, right? But that's a layer you just leave out, right? You can just leave that layer out. And I say that when I'm teaching people, I'm walking people through a spread or teaching a spread, I will say to them, if you're using oracle for this, then I'll let you know the ones that don't even worry about them, just skip over them. Some oracle systems have, or oracle cards have numbers on them. So if they do, then you can do some of the numerology and the numerical pieces as well. But for the most part, I tend to use this primarily with tarot. And even when I'm doing a multi-deck spread, meaning I'm using a tarot deck and maybe also bringing in an oracle cards for clarification for some reason, then I still can do these layers. I just adjust based on what's there. And I want to go back to your question about, is there times when you don't do it? So when you're short on time, you said something about divine timing, and I was like, yeah, when you're short on time, maybe you don't need to do all the layers, right? I actually use the layers when I'm doing things that feel really, not that all of the stuff I do doesn't feel important to me, but when it feels like a really tender question that I've asked, when it feels like the kind of question where I'm like, I feel like there's more here, right? And so I'm happy that you said this is going to be in the intuitive sort of segment, because I'm a very intuitive reader. 90% of the way I read cards is intuitive. And then of course I do layer in, I guess, so I'm probably more of a holistic reader, because I do also layer in the symbology and all the things that I have learned about tarot and the meanings of the cards, right? That part isn't discounted in this for me, or it's not discounted. So even if you, regardless of your reading style, you know, some of y'all out there are reading, you know, holistically, some of you are reading very analytically, some of you are reading word for word what the book says about the card, and you aren't going outside of those boundaries, and that is fine. This layering can work no matter what type of reading you do. And I am a very intuitive storytelling type of reader. Like, I look at the cards and I go, all right, what's the story that is telling me here? Because my subconscious sees the story in the image, right? Which I think is mostly how humans work. Our subconscious sees that, right? So yeah, I just wanted to go back and name that in terms of like when is maybe not a time to do it. I personally think you could do it whenever, but I think if you are short on time and you're like, then it becomes a point of stress for you. Like, okay, I got to get all these layers down. I only got 5 minutes here. Okay, let me, like that to me, if it's gonna stress you out, leave it. Just don't even bother, right? But for me, this is fun. This feels fun. And I love that you said the scientific method, because I would never in 1,000 years have said, you know, layered that onto it. But it feels like I'm piecing together a puzzle. It feels like I have been left these breadcrumbs that I now get to follow. And so I don't see it as stressful or hard or difficult or overwhelming. But if you try this approach and it feels that way to you, then I say just back up a little bit. Just do one layer and let that be enough, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into my next question, because, you know, I think we in the society have a very wide range of tarot practitioners, right? People who are just getting into it, myself included, because astrology is way more my jam. And then we have people who are very seasoned readers, right? So I'm curious if and this would go for both, right? Because seasoned readers who have not been reading in this way, it can be hard to start something new, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a good way to start this type of practice? What might be one layer you would suggest to start looking at, so that we can start kind of building on this idea?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Such a good question. And I'm going to answer it with 2 answers. So the first thing I say is tether yourself to what you already know. So for you, Dana, it would be astrology. You already know astrology. So if the devil card comes up, then you just go Capricorn. What do I need? What do I know about Capricorn? Was it already telling me? Right. And you bring in the piece that you already are tethered to, that doesn't require you to Google or go grab a book and try to, right? So tether yourself to the thing that you already know. So if it is moon phases for you, then maybe that's what shows up. If it is symbology, if you are like, I have been studying symbols all my life, and you pull a card, again, we'll go back to the devil, and you see horns, right? What is that symbol? You see a pentagram. What does that symbol mean for you? Like, go to the thing that you already feel confident in, and let that be your first layer. Okay, so that's my first piece of advice. On a more practical level, in terms of like, well, Kiala, I'm new to all of it, I don't know any of it. Then I say your first, if you're working with tarot, your first layer is to look at the majors and the minors. That would be the first, to me, that's like a good first base step. Is to just go, okay, I've got 3 majors in this spread, 3 out of 5 cards. Ooh, that's a lot. That's a lot of majors in that scenario. And then I go, okay, so if the majors are all about the overarching universal energies that are out there, I'm going to work with that. And then I'm going to look at these other 2 minor cards and go, okay, these are my to-do list. This is my to-do list. So what's this guy doing? That's my to-do. Tend to your resources, right? Give your attention and your intention to them. Like, be the person that's, doing that thing, right? So find your to-do list. If you've got court cards there, then however you choose to play with court cards, whether you see them as parts of yourself or they represent other people in your life, whatever your way is, then look at that, right? So just the base level would be looking at the majors and the minors. That's and whether or not you have court cards, like that's the first step, I would say. And then just leave it at that. That's it. You got the big energies, and then you got your to-do list. That's plenty. That's plenty for you to do right there. Yeah. So
it definitely is. And especially when you're just stepping your toes into it. I love simplicity. I love starting small because you can always grow from there, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, Kiala, thank you so much for being here. We are thrilled to have you as our June Ritual Society teacher to learn everything there is to know, hopefully, about multi-layered readings. Everything you can teach us. We'll probably
no pressure, Dana. Everything you can learn. No pressure.
No pressure, none. Yeah, you can do all that in an hour or so, right? But
yeah. It's going to be fun. I'm going to make it fun. I'm going to make it easy. I'm going to make it something that you really feel good about, like little phyllo layers, real thin, real easy, real, yummy. That's what I'm going to do.
Tender and delicious. I love this. Oh, I can get into the food side of this. Well, it's going to be fantastic. In the meantime, Kiala, where can we find you?
Oh, goodness. Come on over to pulpenpaint.com. That's the first place to come because we're doing all sorts of adjacent things to what you all are doing here in the Ritual Society. And I feel like they are good partnering with each other. Plus, Dana's going to be teaching there this year. So come on, hang out with us over there. So pulpenpaint.com is the first place. And then just hang out with me on Instagram. I love to see what people are making and creating and what kind of card decks you're working with and all the things. So come hang out on Instagram. I am Kiala Gives. And listen, y'all know there are clone accounts out there all the time. So make sure you got the right spelling and that you're on the right one. So, yep. That's
awesome. Oh, we cannot wait. Thank you so much for being here today, Kiala. And we will see you in June in the society.
Thank you. See you guys there. Bye.
Bye.